I'm your host, Jason Miles, and welcome to another episode of This is Revolution Podcast for all the returning listeners, subscribers, and, of course, our very valued patrons. Thank you so much! To those new to the channel, thank you for taking a moment to check us out. If you dig what we're doing, please hit like and, of course, subscribe. That goes a long way in promoting the channel. Quick reminder before I bring the guest in, TIR is a listener-supported program. Without y'all, we couldn't do this. If you enjoy what we do here on TIR and have the means and feel so inclined, become a patron for as little as $3 a month or $30 for the year. You can get access to our patron-only champagne rooms, join us for movie nights, have access to the TIR Discord, get the satisfaction of knowing that you help contribute to the insanity that is TIR. Pat yourself on the back. That being said, also in the champagne room, I think I found the secret to viewing Deadly Force. So if you want to join us for a screening of the Tales of Stony Cooper, when the cops can't and when the justice system won't, Stony Cooper will. Then become a patron. We have a trial offer if you'd like to try out for 7 days. Click the link in the description of this very show and join us for the fun. Again, I think I figured it out how we can view this. I did a practice run with the TIR crew guys in various parts of the world, and we were able to watch not just the trailer, but like the first 5 minutes. They were like, "Oh, this looks good." So I think we can do it. I think we can do it. Now let's talk about the topic at hand. We have a guest that wrote a book called Rebel Queen. Wherever you are watching or listening to the show, there are links in the description to check the book out. Over the last few years, we've witnessed a true renaissance in women's sports across the Western world, nowhere more so than in the world of women's basketball. Caitlin Clark has become not only one of the most bankable figures in women's athletics, but also one of the biggest names in basketball, period. As we've discussed on our sports show here at TIR, her rise represents a seismic cultural shift. But the road from obscurity to profitability has been a long and uphill one for women's sports. Misogynistic critiques still linger, often grounded in outdated notions of biological determinism. The belief that women are inherently inferior, especially in physical pursuits. While it's true that certain sports like football, certain positions may rely heavily on size and strength, what about disciplines like chess? Does gender matter there? Do we really need gender divisions in a game of the mind? Our guest today is someone uniquely qualified to answer that question. Susan Polgar is the first woman in history to earn the title of chess grandmaster. Her journey from a small apartment in the goulash communist Hungary under the watchful eye of a regime both repressive and skeptical of her individual brilliance to international stardom is nothing short of remarkable. As detailed in her memoir, Rebel Queen, her battle wasn't just against the 64 squares, it was against institutions, stereotypes, and an entire system that sought to tell her no at every turn. Today, we'll hear that story. Please welcome, coming all the way live, Grandmaster Susan Polgar.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, how are you doing, Jason?
I'm doing okay. I want to read some quotes from your book, if that's okay with you.
Of course.
And early on in the book, I think it's like probably within the first chapter, you write, "Prodigies are not miracles, but natural phenomena. Your father believed genius could be cultivated under the right conditions. Do you believe that still holds true in today's world of distraction and overstimulation?"
I absolutely believe that talent is overrated. and
Okay.
it's mostly about passion and hard work, combined with a little bit of fortunate circumstances and luck, is the recipe to extraordinary results in anything, not just in chess.
So you don't think that we live in an era of distraction, especially with young people? I think you started when you were like 4. Now we give 4-year-olds, if not younger, iPads and iPhones. Do you think if you didn't come up in the 60s and 70s that it would be different for you?
Well, it's certainly different. It's true that there are more distractions, but with that said, it's especially when kids are younger,
Mhm,
it's largely in the hands of the parents, mostly the parents, the family,
mhm,
sometimes the school. But I think if the children are guided in the right direction, and that is one of the reasons why it's so important to start to specialize on something rather early. That I felt that by the time I was 6, 7, 8, where I really could have been distracted by peer pressure or other things, I
mhm.
was so deep into chess that it was just natural that that's my life, that's my passion, that's what I want to do most of the time.
Um, Now you came up in the Soviet bloc where chess was looked at maybe more seriously than here in the US. Um, do you think that it's one of those, I don't want to say art form, but is it a competitive sport that isn't taken as seriously because of the lack of profitability in it from young people?
Well, that's perhaps one of the parts of the fortunate circumstances in my case that I was born in a country where chess was very much respected, supported back in those days. In general, chess players were regarded as celebrities, as very smart people. Typically, they were the top chess players were earning just as much, if not more, than engineers or teachers or lawyers or doctors. So it was a great thing to be a chess player, especially back in those days in the 70s and 80s when I was growing up. And so therefore, it was easier, I guess, back then there. Today, the good news is that there are also a lot more opportunities here in the US.
Mhm.
And there are numerous chess players who are multimillionaires in America
Really?
playing chess. Oh, yes, it became a long way from the days when I remember the first time when I came to the US in the mid 1980s, and when I was talking to people just outside of the chess world, and I said I am a chess player, they were looking at me kind of with strange eyes and asking, "And what are you planning to do for a living?" You know, it was a sad reality back then. But today, if you're good at it, actually, chess players can make a quite good living.
Gotcha. In the book, you write, these were experienced club players trying their best to beat me, and some of them still couldn't. Do you remember the first time you felt like a room full of men took you seriously and not just as a cute kid playing chess, but as a real competitor?
Well, before that, the very first time I went to a chess club was a memorable experience because I was just 4 years old and my dad was holding my hand and taking me to the chess club full of smoke and men
Mhm.
playing, no women. And he wanted me to finally play a game against somebody other than him. And so he was asking the guys playing that after you finish your games, would you give a game to my little daughter? And they were laughing at him, like, what kind of funny question is this? And I didn't know why they are laughing, right? What's
Mhm.
funny about it? They felt the question was hilarious that a grown man wants his 4-year-old daughter to play against grown men. And they were telling him that, well, if you want to get a game, you don't need to use your daughter. We'll give you a game. So when he kept insisting, no, 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 indeed, it's my daughter who wants to play,
Mhm.
you know, they couldn't believe it until finally one guy said, okay, okay, I'll play her. So that's what happened. And I even managed to win some of the games that night. But, you know, obviously it was a big curiosity, a big sensation that how is it possible that such a young girl, especially, you know, can play a relatively decent game of chess for at least for my age. But it took obviously some time until I was really taken seriously against better players. It took a lot of practice and experience until you know I got better and better.
You're coming up to in an interesting time, um, more so in American history. I mean, I can't speak for your Hungarian experience, where women are getting more rights in general. Um, do you see that change when you come to the West? I know you talk about it a little bit in the book when you first went to England. Was it kind of shocking to you to be taken a little more seriously?
Well, my first trip to the West, which indeed was to England, was very eye-opening in so many ways.
Mhm.
First of all, the great huge contrast, just
Yeah.
the way everything was between England at the time and Hungary at the time. You know, it was so colorful, the stores full of things, you know, huge selection of anything and everything, whether it's food or clothes or shoes or you name it.
Mhm.
And just everything was so plentiful relatively to Hungary, but also in the sense that while in Hungary, the Hungarian Chess Federation could not understand my family's vision that I wanted to become a great chess player and not just a great female chess player, which
Mhm.
they thought was the norm. And so, on the other hand, when I was in England, I was celebrated and I was encouraged, I was applauded for even wanting to become a top player among men. And I was you know, encouraged, and the media was positive, which was a welcome change from what I experienced back then in Hungary, when you know, we were looked at like crazy people. How is it possible that a girl would want to ever become a grandmaster or a top player?
Mhm. You write in the book, the boys really didn't like losing to me. The girls I played with didn't like losing either, but they never made excuses. You describe how differently boys and girls reacted to losing against you. Do you see that pattern continue at higher levels of play?
Well, the good thing is, I can say, looking back half a century ago, it was very unusual that girls would play against men. Even more unusual that a girl would win against men. But you know, by winning many games, I got them used to it. So it's not as sensational anymore when a woman defeats a man in chess. In fact, while I was the first woman who earned the grandmaster title among men, today we are 42 women who have the title, so it's not as surprising anymore, and they are taking it better. You know, initially I remember I was going through a phase when
Mhm.
I was defeating man masters or grandmasters. They would make excuses that, oh, I didn't sleep well last night. Oh, I had a toothache. I had a fight with my wife, or whatever excuses, you know.
Mhm.
And I jokingly said in some interviews back then that, well, I guess I've never beaten a healthy man.
How did that make you feel? Does it I mean, I would be the first time, maybe I can laugh it off. The fifth time, maybe I yell out an expletive at the person that has the audacity to blame diet, sleep, insert excuse here. because you know the stakes when you're doing something serious, right? Like I can't roll out of bed and do this. I probably could, but people would be able to tell. It would be a bad product to put out, and people would stop watching, right?
Yeah, well, I never really took it to my heart. I felt almost like sorry for them, that they are sore losers, or it didn't bother me. I always kind of had the attitude that at the end of the day, it's the result that matters, and all the show around it, whether they make excuses or it's unimportant, really, in my mind. It's what matters is what's the score that's on the scoreboard.
Mhm. Um, Another quote here from the book. Even now, I don't blame people for being concerned for my well-being, but I do still smile when I think about what must have gone through all their heads when I actually won that tournament. You became a media sensation at 4, like you said earlier here. How did that kind of early public scrutiny shape the way you view attention and praise even today?
Well, as I said earlier, I was usually the only girl in most tournaments that I played, and therefore I was different. I was looked at with a magnifying glass, so to
Mhm.
say. Everybody curious how I'm doing. And, since I was really young, I was almost born into it. So, since my first success came that early, I really got used to it. And I was fortunate that my parents were really good in preparing me psychologically. My father is a psychologist by profession, actually. So, he took his time and we kept talking about it regularly, preparing for what people may say, or what people may ask as of interviews, and it just became part of my life. It's
Mhm.
with good and bad. On one hand, just being a celebrity, even within the world of chess, it comes with some benefits as well as some responsibilities and burdens.
Mhm. You've competed in both open and women's events. Do you believe there's still a place for gender divisions in chess, or has it become more of a crutch than a ladder, you think?
Well, I think it's still a good thing that it coexists, the women-only events and the co-ed open events. Unfortunately, it's still we're in a minority.
Mhm.
When I started out, as I said, typically I used to be the only girl, the only woman in many tournaments. Even back in 2002, when I was already living in the US and I founded the Susan Polgar Foundation. Back then, the United States Chess Federation had less than 1% of the membership being female, less than 1%. And even 10 days later, 10 years later, and including today, we're only up to around 15%, which is a great improvement, certainly. But it's still a minority. And therefore, we need more women to have more great female players. And until, unfortunately, since my sister and I both retired and some other great female players retired, currently we don't have even a single woman player in the top 100 in the world rating list.
Mhm.
So until there are many more top female players, I think it's a good thing. It gives the women an opportunity to make a living in chess. And also, I think it's really important on a grassroots movement side that when the little girls, 5, 6, 7 year olds, start playing chess, just like with most activities at that age, girls typically hang together and the boys hang together. And
Mhm.
I think it's a good idea for the girls to have the all girls tournaments as well. With that said, if any girl that really wants to be serious about chess and has motivation to become a grandmaster like I did, by all means, just like I did, they should be playing the best competition they can, and that still means playing boys as well, or mostly boys. So they should be playing in open tournaments. But most people, just like in anything else, they play chess for fun. They play chess for its educational benefits, and not necessarily because they want to be a world-class chess player. So for the majority of the people, I think it's socially more fun to play also in all-girl events, especially at a younger age. And also for the better players, the ones who didn't have all the opportunities when they were really young to be able to make a living, it's still a good idea to keep the all-female events as well.
Are you seeing a lot of that where you are, as far as young women playing chess?
Well, yeah, and my foundation is focusing on that, trying to encourage and give opportunities for girls and women in chess. But it's an uphill battle for a number of reasons. It's because of society still views chess as a man's game. And then also, when girls go to a chess club or a chess tournament, they are still in a minority. And for a lot of girls, a lot of women, it's an awkward situation to be in. It's just like in any other kind of environment when you're standing out, being the only 1 or 2 or 10% of the group. It's an extra dimension, an extra challenge that not everybody is comfortable with, and that is why a lot of girls quit typically around the age of 10, 11, and do other things where they feel more comfortable.
But not you.
Well, I didn't quit. Fortunately, I was quite good by then, and I think that was the reason why I kept going with it. That I kept getting reassurance or reaffirmation that this is something I can get good at, because I kept improving. In fact, I won my first world championship title when I was just 12 years old.
There's a Netflix series, and you knew this question was coming, that came out around 2020 based off a fictional book. I want to definitely put an underscore there. A fictional book of the same name called The Queen's Gambit, about a young American chess player that rises through the ranks. Now, you were still pretty young when that book came out. I think it comes out like 83 or 84. Did you read it when you were a young girl? Or did they not have it in your English? I'm assuming you didn't speak English when you were 12, or did you?
Actually, I learned in 81. That's when I
Okay.
started learning English. And actually, I did get that book when I
Did
first
you?
came to the US, which was in 85. So a couple of
Okay.
years after it came out. And I did read the book, and I thought it was cute. And I'm glad that it was made into a series. And of course, when the series came out, I got countless phone calls, media requests, asking me what are the similarities and the differences.
Because it's not based on you. He didn't know who you were, right? Or I'm sure he knew of you, but not.
I think he probably knew of me, but it was not exactly based on me. But there were plenty of similarities in the fact that a young girl, succeeds in the men's world of chess. Obviously, I was not American born, so there are plenty of differences as well. But ultimately, the biggest difference I see in the series compared to my life story is that in the series, Beth Harmon, the heroine of the series, was taking tranquilizers and drugs and alcohol and all that. That obviously could not help a real life chess player, unlike what the movie, the series has implied. So I did not like that part of the presentation of, of a chess player, because it's unrealistic. But other than that, in general, I thought the series was quite well done and entertaining, and obviously helped popularize chess
Mhm.
the mainstream. So it was wonderful for our game.
I mean, it was a pretty big show. I think it was the most viewed show at one point in time on Netflix. Did you know about its production at all, or did it just kind of come out and you were like, "Oh man, they made a show off this book"?
No, I didn't know. It was yeah, quite a surprise and quite fascinating. And in fact, that's how Rebel Queen came about.
Really?
Yeah, because a lot of media have asked me, so when will that be a movie about your life, which is the real thing? And I said, well, that's a great idea. In fact, I was toying with that idea for a couple decades. In
Mhm.
fact, I even went to Hollywood and had some meeting with various studios. And I understood at that time that they may want to sensationalize certain parts of my life story, and that's not necessarily what I was looking for. I was hoping that if there is ever a movie made out of my life story, that would be an inspirational
Yeah.
story to motivate young girls in chess or in any male-dominated field.
Mhm.
That if they work hard at something, they have their passion, they can persevere and succeed as I did. And that's when, after the Queen's Gambit series came out, I got advice from some dear friends in Hollywood that if I want to have any kind of control of the narrative of how my story will be told, I should
Mhm.
write my memoirs, and hence Queen's Gambit. I mean, sorry, hence Rebel Queen.
So if some producer offered you $20 million, we want to buy your story for $20 million, but we're going to change certain aspects of it. We're going to make your dad an alcoholic because we really need some adversity in your life. You'd say no, not going to do it.
Well, it would be up to negotiations. I think my real life has plenty of drama, and so it would have to be negotiated of what part of the drama I'm willing to sell.
That's
Not,
the
not,
sad.
not my father being an alcoholic, because he happens to be an anti-alcoholist.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the one thing about your story is that it feels like, and maybe this is a reason why you were able to take certain things in stride because you had your family as your biggest advocates.
Yeah, definitely. It was instrumental in giving me the peace of mind, the emotional support, and the self confidence to push it through despite all the roadblocks and challenges and difficulties I had to go through.
You say in the book, intuition is by far the most mysterious skill in chess. You describe intuition as a mysterious skill in chess. How do you teach something that's so deeply personal and nonlinear to your students?
Well, intuition is something very interesting, but I think it kind of can be trained
Okay.
by practicing pattern recognition. So I think when we talk about intuition, we rely on our long term memory, on our past experiences, and we try to use them, apply them in different, new, but yet similar situations. It's something where we don't necessarily, let's say, calculate a long series of moves or variation, but rather trust on our judgment and make decisions based on that. Of course, not in every situation that's possible, but there are many. Let's say during a chess game, there
Yeah.
are maybe 60-70% of the decisions we're making actually can be made based on our intuition, our general understanding of the game, rather than calculating it out move by move.
How do you see something like AI affecting that someone wrote in the chat. How is AI killing us if intuition is so important? Where it just kind of trumps any intuition and it can figure it out for you. I know you've stepped away. You said you do a little bit of coaching here and there. Is it hard to try to connect with young people that are so dependent maybe on stuff like AI?
Well, throughout my life, actually, it was really fascinating to see how chess engines, chess computers, later AI have changed how we practice, how we learn from them. Initially, it was a race, whether will they ever defeat humans, the best human players, which we got our answer to around 1997, when IBM's Deep Blue have defeated the then world champion Garry Kasparov.
How did you feel about that? Were you a little
I
angry?
was there. I was there when it happened in New
Yeah.
York City.
Tell me. I want to know all about it. Tell me about it. What were you wearing? I want to know all about
I don't remember that. But it was really fascinating. Everybody was, I think, making bets on it and was curious how it's going to happen, because Garry Kasparov himself, actually, for the longest time, kept saying back in the early mid-'80s, there is no way a computer would ever defeat him. Then later he modified it, saying that there is no way the chess engine will beat the world champion in his lifetime, until he had to, accept defeat himself and acknowledge that, yes, humans lost the race, just like runners obviously lost the race to cars. And there is no conversation, there is no debate whether a car drives faster than a human can run. So we learn to utilize them to better our understanding and knowledge of the game. We use them as sparring partners. We use them as tools to help us, give us ideas, or analyze with us, for us. And today, all professional players utilize it, and I see nothing wrong with that. Just like the cars serve us, right? Taking from point A to B, and it's not a competition.
But you were there, and I feel like you had to have been saying, I could have beat that computer.
No,
No.
Computers, it's just another level, I did actually go to the IBM headquarters and did play Deep Blue myself.
And
it was a draw. But with that said, especially computers today, I just like any other grandmaster, we don't have a chance,
Really?
Oh yeah, it's another level. It's another level. And especially like today, they have AI. It's even far beyond anything we knew before that, like
Really?
the Zero that came out some years ago.
Well,
it defeated all other previous chess engines, like, made it look childish, So it's just unbelievable how long we came from the time when it was a miracle that a chess box could even play a legal game of chess, to the level when humans have no chance. If we make a draw here and there, it's considered a huge success.
So how do you use this technology to help train your students?
Well, for example, one of the most important tools to improve your game is that after you play a game, you analyze it. And when I was growing up, there were no computers, there were no engines, and I had to rely on my own analysis, or if a friend or a coach that plays better than me could tell me what I did wrong and what I should have done instead, and that may or may not have been the objective truth. The huge difference today is that there are all these engines, and if people play on various platforms, it's right there, it's free. The engine immediately tells you like a calculator would tell you whether you made your multiplication correctly or not, you know.
Mhm.
And it just tells you immediately, and it's pretty close to perfection, you know. It's and that's what I recommend anybody and everybody to do. That even if you don't have a coach, you can just put it in analysis mode, and the engine will tell you all the big mistakes and what you should have done instead. And that's a key element to improve your game.
So do you think then that these things are making young people or just young chess players sharper than maybe they were back in your day?
Yes and no.
Okay.
On one hand, yes, because they get a more accurate, a more precise answer to the questions.
Mhm.
The drawback of it is if they rely on it too much, and they can get lazy to use their own head
Mhm.
because, oh, let me check what the engine says. At the end of the day, when you play a real life competition, you do not have an engine to ask. You can only rely on yourself. And that's why it's really important to practice your own thinking process and find the right balance between using your own head versus relying on, I would say, double checking whether you have the right calculation, the right ideas or not.
Mhm. You chose chess over math at 6. Looking back, does that still feel like the moment that you set the course for the rest of your life? And I say looking back because at 6, you don't know what 10 looks like more or less the rest of your life. So now, do you feel like you made a life decision at 6? And how crazy does that sound to say out loud?
Yeah, in retrospect, indeed, that was a serious crossroad for the rest of my life. I little did I know that at that time, obviously. I had no idea that that decision will be so important in my life. But indeed, it became so important because I ended up becoming a professional chess player by age 15. I was number one in the world. So when most teenagers, you know, are debating what major should I have in college, what do I want to do when I grow up, you know,
Mhm.
what do I want to do, you know, when you're number one in the world in something at age 15, you kind of got that answer.
You say in the book, I loved getting these abrasive old men to change their minds about me, to actually root for me. How much of your drive early on came from the thrill of proving people wrong?
I don't know. It's hard to tell how much, but it was certainly an important element that I felt that, and maybe by around age 12, 13, I realized that even top female players at the time
Mhm.
did not believe that we are able to compete on an equal footing with men.
Yes. Yeah.
And I really wanted to show on behalf of all women
Mhm.
that why not? I really was puzzled that how is it possible that even the women don't
Mhm.
believe in it. And I had no doubt that women can become grandmasters. And I just felt almost like a moral obligation that I have to give it my best try to show them and try to break that gender barrier for not just myself, but for all women coming behind me. And I'm very proud of my sister, Judith, who followed
She's also a grandmaster,
suit.
I understand.
Yeah, yeah. Almost a year, nearly a year later, she also became a grandmaster.
Was
So,
she the first to defeat a male grandmaster, or you were the first to defeat a male grandmaster?
well, there were some other women who have defeated in a game here and there. So,
Mhm.
not the first to defeat a grandmaster, but to earn the title based on norms and the
Mhm.
rating that's necessary, like for the guys. I was the first, and then Judith the second.
That's so crazy. Because she's the baby sister, right?
Yeah,
What's the age difference? 4 years? 5 years?
7.
7 years?
Yes. 5 with Sophia, our middle sister,
Mhm.
and 7 with Judith.
That is so crazy. How your parents are literally the proudest parents ever, right? I mean, can anyone be prouder than your parents? I
They
mean, look at that. They have the best bumper stickers. My daughters are grandmasters of chess. What does your kid do? Make the honor roll. That's it. An honor roll, huh? Um, how does that? I when you achieve, I did music for years. I was never the grandmaster of guitar or a Grammy award, and I didn't want to do those things. I had different goals in mind, and when I hit those goals, I felt very comfortable kind of walking away from a certain aspect of what I had done. But walking away, there were definitely aspects of my life that didn't develop the same way because I had been doing this thing for so long. Um, you were playing chess from a very small person, preschool. Literally, you were not enrolled in school. You were playing in competitive events up until your adult years. How does that affect maturing relationships? How does that affect your personal life?
Well, obviously it was tricky because I dedicated so much time to chess, and I was also homeschooled, so I was inexperienced and isolated in some ways when it comes to my personal life. I didn't have the typical teenage experiences of you know in high school, let's
Yeah.
say. That's pretty normal, but and especially that I was competing mostly against men, and it was a very kind of unusual situation because it wasn't even boys my age typically, but I played men of all ages, and that was tricky. It was, I made my share of mistakes eventually, I guess, thanks to that. But what
Did you get to a certain point though? I feel like you get to a certain point when you do certain things. You don't have a job where, well, I guess chess is you're going to play the same game all the time, but it's always going to be a different game considering who you play. But like with music, for me, it came to a certain point where it's like, well, I did the things that I wanted to do for the most part because the things I wanted to do were never like win awards, but like create something that no one had done, have my peers acknowledge me, and these were the things that I wanted to do. And once I did, I'm like, I can walk away from that. Once you hit grandmaster, where you kind of like, I've broken every barrier, every glass ceiling has been shattered. Maybe I can walk away now and just be regular old Susan.
Well, what happened was after I won my fourth world championship title, I felt that, okay, I won this title, Olympic gold, and world championships. I want something more, I want something different.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt, especially here in the United States, that chess does not get the appropriate recognition and rewards for the chess players. As I mentioned earlier, when I first came to the US, you know, when I said I'm a chess player, the question was, and what do you do for a living? And I really hated that,
Yes, I know that all too well.
because I felt that, chess players dedicate just as much effort and time and energy and everything to their sport as football players or
Mm-hmm.
basketball players or golfers or tennis players or you name it, right? And yet, we used to get, maybe 1/100th of the reward and recognition and respect. And I felt that maybe I can do something about it, being a world champion. I can utilize my time and my celebrity status as a chess player as a world champion to do some positive changes in that aspect. And so that became my passion, more so than to play, but to try to become an ambassador for the game, to try to make a difference for basically the next generation. And that's how I started to work on a lot of different projects. First, I started the Polgar Chess Center that I ran for 13 years in New York City. Later on, I started the Susan Polgar Institute for Chess Excellence to give opportunities for young chess players beyond the K-12 to combine their education with their chess improvement, development. And of course, the Susan Polgar Foundation, that's a 501c3 that also promotes chess with its educational and social benefits, and also gives opportunities for young players in chess and beyond chess. But I really had this dream that we need events, cool chess events, and I'm proud to say that I was involved with several of them. I did at one point a world record simul exhibition, for example. I was playing simultaneously 326 opponents.
Jesus.
Which was a world record at the time, and it got serious media attention all around the country and even all around the world. So those were the type of events that I was looking to do. That is not so much a competitive challenge as it is a media event, and I think that those are the type of things that were lacking here, especially here in the United States. Or another big event called Chess for Peace that involved the former Russian President Gorbachev. Also, again, using chess as a platform to advocate for peace in the world. Mm-hmm. So, I think there are many, many opportunities to do events that bring chess out there in the mainstream where people can associate with it, people can find interesting. Another fascinating event I did was at the UN in New York City, when we had I think about 24 or so representatives of 24 different countries playing against my students or different young chess players from New York City. So, these kind of PR events, media events, I felt are very much needed. And I was glad to contribute to the growth of chess, and I'm glad to say that there is a lot more respect and recognition for the game today than it was 20 years ago, 30 years ago when I started working on these projects.
And there was something that you did want to promote as well that you're doing right now. Just the book?
Well, right now I'm focusing on the book, but I'm doing a book tour. I'm traveling around the country, doing a lot of different book events. I'm hoping the book eventually will also be made into a movie. Mm-hmm. I'm doing a lot of events for the Susan Polgar Foundation as well to give back to the next generation. And I'm also... The main thing is I'm hoping to motivate the next generation of young people, and especially girls, to believe in their dreams, work hard at it, and nothing is impossible.
Before you go, I have a lightning round of questions for you.
Of course.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
I wish I had a timer. I don't have a timer sound on the soundboard. What is your favorite chess piece?
The Queen.
The Queen?
Used to be the Knight.
I was going to say, and you talk about the horsey in the book.
As a child, yes. Yes.
Now it's all about the Queen.
Is the strongest piece on the board.
Bobby Fischer or Gary Kasparov?
Well, Garry Kasparov obviously is a great chess player, but Bobby, I think, contributed so much to the game that overall, I think, yeah, he is not just as a player, but he invented a chess clock we all use today. He invented a new form of game, the chess 960 or Fischer Random. He just made professional chess as such, you know. So I think I have to look at it in a bigger picture.
Got to give the props to the innovators. What's more stressful, first tournament or first TV interview?
Probably first TV interview.
TV, because you don't have to. Look, you're just you could be quiet playing a game of chess.
Yeah. I was so young when I had my first tournament that you know I just thought it was a game of chess, just like I would play outside of a tournament. Yeah, TV definitely.
We have a question here for a super chat. Thank you, Ken. Favorite opening?
You know, I like to say the one that helps me win.
It's a good answer. That's a really slick answer.
Yeah, I mean, openings are overrated.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's yeah, it really all openings are okay as long as you know them well and you know what you're doing.
What's more important, calculation or intuition?
It depends on the situation, but calculation is an absolute necessity. In certain situations, doesn't matter how much intuition you have. If you miss the moments when calculation is necessary, you lose. So calculation is a necessity.
Okay. One chess book every player should read.
I guess World Champions Guide to Chess.
Really?
Yeah, I wrote it.
That's why I said, "Oh, really?" That's why I said, "Oh, really?"
No, it's a great first book.
Have you ever talked trash on the chessboard?
Obviously, only in friendly games. Yes.
So, are you all business in the tournaments then?
You're not allowed to talk at all.
Oh, okay. Well, there's that. Biggest pet peeve in tournament play?
That's, I don't know. I have to think about
you don't want to say it out loud?
What do you mean exactly?
Is there something that really annoys you, that gets under your skin about the way tournaments are set up, that you would love to change? If you had the power, the magical wand that could change this one thing, what would it be?
Well, to avoid cheating. Cheating, huge problem, especially since the chess engines, the AI became so dominant in chess. That would be the one I'd like to eliminate. Yes.
Okay, here's Ken with another. Didn't know this many chess fans watch the show. So shout out to all the chess fans. Ken says, speed chess, is it valuable?
Absolutely, because you get to practice a lot of your different openings and your intuition, because you have to play very, very fast typically. You may only have 3 or 5 minutes for your entire game for all your moves. So definitely I think it's good. Not probably at the very beginner level, but once you're an intermediate or advanced player, it's definitely a good tool. Obviously not as the only thing you do if you want to improve. You need to also study and learn and analyze your games, but in general, it's a good thing.
Someone wants me to ask if you ever played checkers.
I have one time ago,
once,
more than once, but over 30 years ago.
What is more satisfying, a queen sacrifice or a smothered mate?
Sorry, a queen
sacrifice or a smothered mate? What's more satisfying?
Well, definitely a smothered mate, as long as I'm giving it and not getting.
Okay. And lastly, is chess art, sport, or science?
All three.
All three, all the time.
Well, not all the time, but as a game, it has elements of all three. When we compete, it's obviously a sport. When we prepare for competition, it's a lot of analytical work, so it's science. We do a lot of research. And when we just enjoy, then it's an art.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to talk to me. I hope this was a smooth interview for you.
Yeah, lots of fun.
Again, wherever you guys are watching or listening to the show, there's a link in the description to Susan's book, Rebel Queen, and a very apt title. Don't let the calm demeanor fool you. She's a vicious, vicious chess player.
Only on the chessboard.
Oh, okay. I need to ask those students how tough of a coach you are.
Well, luckily, I think they don't complain.
Well, if they're winning, they're not complaining. Susan, again, thank you so much. Grandmaster, thank you so much for your time, and have a very good rest of your evening.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That is Susan Polgar. Again, wherever you are watching or listening to the show, there's a link in the description. Before I even write the description, the link is right there to the book. Thank you guys for checking everything out. If you're new here, please don't forget to hit like. If you're a returning subscriber, don't forget to hit like. Subscribe if you haven't. If you're listening later on Apple, subscribe and get access to the champagne room where we're going in just a second. The link's already up. I think I figured it out on how we can watch the movie. The only thing is, we'll all be on the same screen. So I love the fact that it just won't be me talking to y'all just blind. I'll have all of y'all on the screen. We'll be enjoying Stony Cooper. And we can rewind to the mildly racist part of it, where he has to get the Puerto Rican man out of the warehouse. So thank you very much. And on that note, let's go out of here. This was a nice, calm interview. So let's leave with cartoons. I am out. See you Saturday.